We are currently living in a world of complete uncertainty. The future for our generation seems full of questions, but many are without answers. As mass national change looms with the finalisation of Brexit, now we are also faced with the recovery from coronavirus. And inevitably, huge economic, social and cultural change is pending. As many vast decisions get made by a select few, the majority of our generation's voices remain collectively unheard when it comes to issues which define our country. Issues such as race, immigration and religion, gender equality, sexuality and self-expression, politics, the environment and post-truth in the media, mental health, the NHS and social care, housing, benefits and jobs, crime, drugs and the police, social media, the media, and art. So this is our platform to talk about our past, our present and our future. This is our voice.
My name is Chloe, I am 22, I am originally from Preston in Lancashire, but I'm currently living in Cheltenham in Gloucestershire for university and I'm a full-time student. The 2010 Equality Act was a big step towards transgender rights. However, I do feel like there is still a long way to go within creating a safe space and safe community for transgender individuals. Transgender individuals can still be denied same-sex facilities on a case-by-case basis, and I think this is really worrying for the community as a whole, and it can be really damaging for the individual's mental health. There is sort of a claim of a threat for transgender individuals to enter same-sex spaces, a threat to cis women in particular, as predatory men can dress up as women to enter the women's bathroom. However, I do believe this is a complete trans rhetoric that undermines the safety of transgender women. I'm a feminist and I believe that all women are entitled to a safe space, and that includes transgender women. The Stonewall charity in 2010 said almost half of transgender people, that was 48%, don't feel comfortable using public toilets, which is a really shocking statistic. That's almost half of transgender people. So as a bisexual female, I have grown up in the north and I feel that's quite an accepting area. I've grown up very close to Manchester and I've had a lot of experience with sort of Pride and the gay village, and I feel like growing up and being exposed to that community has really helped me. I've had a lot of queer friends, so having that sort of exposure and familiarity and being able to speak to people on a really close basis really helped me to sort of find my sexuality as well. I think with people accepting their sexuality, it depends on a lot of factors, such as sort of religion and family backgrounds. There's a lot of different things that can affect people to accept their own sexuality. Although the statistics do show that there is more people identifying as LGBT within the coming years, I do think that there is still a long way to go in terms of like acceptance. Although there is a lot more people openly identifying, it doesn't necessarily mean that there is wider acceptance. The Stonewall charity in 2018 did a survey, and half of LGBT people, so that is 52%, experienced depression in the last year, and that was in 2018. 4 in 5 anti-LGBT crimes have incidents go unreported, with younger LGBT people particularly reluctant to go to the police. The number of lesbian, gay and bisexual people who have experienced a hate crime or an incident in the last year because of their sexual orientation has risen by 78%, from 9% in 2013 to 6% in 2017. And that is a really shocking statistic, and it just sort of shows how, although as a society people are identifying, there is a lack of acceptance. So I think in general there is a very big underrepresentation of women, not just in politics, and I think although it can appear equal within sort of statistics and pay gaps, there is a lot of sort of under the cover motions going on that men do get paid more. So for an example, Christmas bonuses and that sort of thing. Within politics, however, 74% of the Labour Party members are female, and within the Conservative Party members, 40% are female. In April 2019, thousands of British companies published the latest gender pay gap figures. The data revealed that men are typically paid significantly more than women in most UK businesses, which again is a really shocking fact.
My name is Toby Woodward-May. I'm 20 years old. I'm currently living in Swindon, Wiltshire, and during term time I live in Cheltenham, Gloucestershire, and I'm currently a full-time student. I believe that the UK should begin slowly removing these stereotypes in advertising, but just I don't think it will make much of an impact if it's just done in advertising. I believe that it needs to become from a more deep down role, such as being taught in schools or parents having a bigger impact. Because if it's just done in advertising, but these roles are still being taught at home or in other forms of media, I don't think that it will have not no impact at all, but I believe that it won't have as big an impact as it could have. So I feel that previous generations of men may have faced more pressure to try and be more stereotypically masculine and display those types of behaviours, due to it being a generally less accepting and less culturally diverse period. Whereas now, as a society, I think we've become far more accepting of men displaying non-traditionally masculine behaviours. But I think that whereas now it's more accepting to be less masculine or display those not display those types of behaviours, we have different struggles than our parents' generation, such as social media and how we believe we should be perceived on social media and how others perceive us, and if we have those worries and things like that. I don't think that there is a set definition of masculinity, or if there necessarily should be one. I think that you can display whatever types of behaviours you wish to. I don't think that makes you less masculine. It's just how you want to be perceived by other people. I believe that London will always have a higher percentage of people who identify as LGB, because it is more densely populated than anywhere in the UK, and it has also been far more culturally diverse historically, with a wide range of different communities as a city, which can make it easier for people to come out, as they can feel more accepted and be part of a large community. I believe that the median age will also play a factor, as I feel more than ever as a society we are more accepting of people's sexualities, whereas in the past it's been less so. I also think that stereotypically it could be harder to come out in a strong working class family due to their views, but it's all variable, as there will also be a lot of middle class or upper class families who also share these views and we're a bit unaccepting of different sexualities.
I'm Mike Butt. I'm 22 years old and I currently live in Bleedon, a small village within Somerset. I am almost graduated and am currently going through the process of job hunting. In terms of why women are paid differently, I think it's due to the stereotyping within our society. I think there's always been a hierarchy with males and the more dominant, and I think that that's unfair. And in terms of pay, I think that's where it comes in. It's the material wealth, and there's been many factors within our existence as human beings which women have played an integral role in helping shape our country and shape society. And I think that's where it does come into play, that sometimes I feel that it's embarrassing that women are paid less than men, and I don't think that should be the case. I think that women do just as much work, or even more than sometimes, than men, and in this day and age we can't still be keeping hold of things that downgrade people. If we want to progress as a society, we need to start being more inclusive, and that does start by putting everyone on an even page. It's a tricky one. As a man, I think there's certain feelings that you have where you feel lesser if you start to cry, and I think that men don't feel confident enough to start to talk to people. I mean, it's not everyone, but there's some of my friends that are men. I've definitely had this conversation in the past with them before, and they say that it's not being scared of speaking to people that makes them feel worried. It's the fact that people who know them put such pressure on them to be this person, or you have to be the man of the house, you have to be able to do this, and I think it's the pressure of trying to just be themselves, and it's okay to feel sad and upset. Like, I've been there. Like, you've got to share these feelings, because again, going back to what we said about how should women be put on an even playing field, I think yes, 100%, and it goes for the same with men and suicide. It's about allowing men to open up on actually how they feel, and no matter the age, whether they're 5 or 45 or 60 and above, I think that every person belongs to have a voice, and it's through this in which we can again improve as a society and allow people to actually be themselves, and instead of being, though this is what we should be, putting stereotypes on people. And I think that's where we need to be as we move forward in society, and allowing men to have a voice as well as women. Firstly, I don't think it's fair that people have to wait to change their gender. I think that if it's a choice that someone wants to take, then I think they shouldn't be denied the right to actually change how they feel, and I don't think that should be through a certificate either. I mean, it will obviously have to be classified somewhere that they've changed their gender, but I don't think that you need to put them through a humiliating process and then make them stand up and then have to allow for these people to then to decide whether they have this right or not. And I don't think that's fair, again, I'm going to stress, I think that would be a very humiliating situation to be in. In terms of changing the driving licence, again, that's really strange. I didn't know about that before it was mentioned, and I don't think that's fair either. Why should someone have to wait to change something, but it's okay to change another thing? I think that if that person wants to express themselves, then I think they should be allowed that and not denied the right that another person should decide it for them. Again, it's society's role within having to tick boxes, and sometimes I think that ticking boxes is a good thing, and it has its benefits. But in other times, I think that you need to weigh up personal feelings for a person and how they would be feeling as they go through that process, and making them tick boxes. I don't think that's fair on the individual themselves, and I think that again it's society's role, and we have to allow these people to be who they want to be. I think they have the right, like everyone else has the right to be who they want to be in this country. It's a free country, it's free speech, and it shouldn't be denying someone the right of expression.
I'm Ollie, I'm 20 years old. I grew up in West Sussex and I live in Cheltenham, and I'm a journalism student. I would agree that a lot of men seem to feel that their place in the modern world is becoming less purposeful, because I think as a society we have a lot of very strict rules or ideas around what it means to be a man, especially what it means to be a heterosexual and cisgendered man. And I think because of that, people end up having a sense of identity prescribed to them that doesn't really reflect actually who they are, and because of that I think they can end up following a path that doesn't have any real sense of who they are within it, and rather is something that they believe is what they should be doing and what defines them. I think we can help men with this feeling of a lack of purpose, I think mainly by talking about it and acknowledging that a lot of men are very repressed in how they're able to express themselves, and particularly their emotions and how they feel about certain things, and also by encouraging people to kind of push boundaries in terms of what is supposed to be the way that you are as a man, or what you choose to do with your life. I don't think that trans people should be made to go in front of a panel in a way that can kind of pick apart someone's identity and their validity as a person, however they choose to identify. I think, maybe certain checks might be necessary. I don't really want to speak too much on that because I'm not overly clued up on how the system works, but I would say that if largely the current system creates a feeling in trans people of being degraded in some way, then I would say it's not fit for purpose. I think as a country we are very much stuck in our history, and I think we suffer a lot with tokenism as well, in terms of we look more to kind of like symbolic ideas of change and pioneering women's rights and their place in society, but I don't think that as a country we're kind of willing to actually talk about like large systemic issues in terms of the way that our power structures are maintained. And I would say that we definitely do celebrate male achievements more, and I don't think it's a particularly, in some cases yes, but I think largely it's not even a conscious decision. I think we live in such a system that is I think patriarchal in now quite a subversive way, because I think we've had these breakthroughs of women's rights, but there's still massive issues with for instance like nurses' pay, which is a largely female career path. I also think that because we are such a conservative, traditional society, that we have a very difficult time looking at achievements and our history in ways that could be seen as like overly critical. You know, I think the suffragettes are used as like a very strong symbol of obviously the women's liberation movement, but they have like a horrendous history of racism because it was privileged, powerful, rich white women who were kind of pioneering that cause. So I think we are definitely stuck in our ways and afraid to kind of really look at aspects of our society that may not be comfortable for some people in the idea of changing and tearing down certain power structures, but is ultimately very necessary.